Hello, my name is Terry. This video will cover our Pythian Castle investigation that occurred on July 29th, 2021. All of these first group of clips were recorded down in the tunnel even before the investigation had begun. One of the pieces of equipment that were down in the tunnel was an EMF light strand. It sets off a blue light when it detects an EMF disturbance. There are 12 sensors on this strand spaced out about a foot apart. When you look at this video, you'll see individual blue flashes of light, which means something is set off one of the 12 sensors. But if you also look at the ceiling of the tunnel, you'll see that some of these light sensors are going off coming toward the cameras, meaning that whatever is causing these lights to be triggered is moving towards the camera or deeper into the tunnel. The knocking sounds and the booming sounds that you'll be hearing are very common down in this tunnel. But there's also a series of other bizarre sounds that in the years I've been investigating this tunnel, I've never heard anything like it. One is like a piece of metal dropping and hitting the concrete floor of the tunnel. Strange sounds like this I've never heard or documented before down in this tunnel. The following clip is from the interrogation room. It's the only EVP that I documented on this night in this room.
So I've got a camera recording in my hand, so what I'll do is I'll ask them, are you in here this evening?
All of the following group of clips are from down in the tunnel. During one interaction with Mr. Boots, I asked him to come down to the end of the tunnel where we were standing, and there's an EVP reply saying he was standing behind me. I've documented his voice on enough occasions that I can recognize that that particular voice was his, but there are also other voices down in the tunnel. In another unusual occurrence, one of the game cameras, which records in 30-second increments, documented 3 EVP voices within this short period of time.
That's one of the other people. I brought those down here.
Okay.
Can you give us a sign that you're here?
Something just poked me
Where did you get physically touched at?
in the side.
Do you have people experience pain when they're down here?
Yes.
Okay, good. We've had a lot of activity then.
Okay.
To you.
Yeah, I'm fine. Every once in a while, boy, do I have gotten a good one though.
Can you come down here and say hello? Are you the one who was physically touching her, or was that one of the POWs?
Something is touching my arm. It feels very tingly.
Is it cold or more like electrical?
Electrical.
Okay.
Yeah, it feels like something is like a hand wrapped around my arm. And I've got a chill on the whole left side.
I keep seeing something like the lights getting ready to start.
Mr. Boots, is that one of the Italian POWs who's physically touching her?
Whatever it was, it let go.
let's hear that.
Okay.
Yeah, that was definitely something. That wasn't me or anything from down here.
There was one again.
It's interesting, I'm starting to feel a coldness on my arms. And it's hot down here.
Yeah.
We walked through a couple cold spots on the way down here.
Okay, that's interesting, because I didn't encounter that.
Well, there is a vent about the halfway point, so that could have been it.
You know, I walked past the vent expecting to feel a cool puff of air, and I didn't feel anything.
You know, there was an error, it was cold.
Oh.
That's funny, I've got an icy cold thing on my right shoulder,
It's chilly right here.
which is strange because it's hot.
77.
It's chilly right here, and
Now it's stopped.
are we talking to Nikki?
Wait a minute, now it's coming back. It's like refrigeration cold.
Yeah, like I feel like it's chilly.
In this clip recorded by my game camera, a group of people are exiting the tunnel. But before they do, a young man says whoa and turns around and looks behind himself. There's no one behind him and he's the last one in the tunnel. I needed to hear back from him to find out what happened to him that caused him to say this. Either he heard something at the back of the tunnel, or something touched him, or something else occurred that distracted him that he was looking back into the darkness of the tunnel.
He's really nice. He's one on picture.
Well, he's an intelligent individual. He's very self-aware, and he can communicate with humans at a very high level.
The concern is when you can hear it coming toward you, but you can't see it.
Mr. Booth? You were triggering cold spots earlier, which everyone was grateful. You was actually getting really cold. Did someone do that sound?
That's what I heard earlier, Terry. That was not me.
Did anyone make that sound?
Like a double bump?
Yeah.
I felt it. I didn't.
Oh, you felt it? How did you, through where?
My hands are on I haven't moved at all. My arms are on the pipe right now.
So you felt it in the
I
pipe?
felt the bump, yeah.
That's the second time I've heard that. I heard that earlier,
It was like a
before
double,
you hit the pipe.
So something pressed on the pipe.
it was a double bump.
During our investigation, I asked the ghost of Mr. Boots to walk to the end of the tunnel where we were standing. I heard a few isolated footsteps moving toward us, but I didn't hear him ever get very close to us during this particular ghost hunt. When I reviewed the footage, I heard this series of footsteps that are much louder and closer than what I actually remember hearing.
Greg, did you call for an end of the rotation?
Say again?
It should have caught those footsteps really well.
There's some noise just out here, just on the other side.
Really? What did you hear?
It wasn't a bang, but it was, I wouldn't really call it a thud, but it was kind of like a thud.
The following clip is very odd. The last group of people in the tunnel are leaving the area, and an EVP voice can clearly be heard saying to get out. I don't know why they would bother to say this when everyone is leaving the tunnel.
We need a door out here. Oh, no, I guess it is. Oh, snap. I don't think this roof is flat, though. It's from the 40s, that's what they do.
I kind of felt like something was just close to me.
Okay, that's interesting because someone else had the same comment on the other rotations. They felt something was standing near them.
I heard a thump above my head.
That's the military building that's above your head. It's abandoned and locked up. Did anyone do that?
No.
Nope.
You remember just a few minutes ago, I asked him to duplicate the sound? It sounded different, but that was a nice attempt at it.
Can you hear us? Hello?
Did anyone do that?
No.
The next 4 unexplained voices are not EVP voices. They're from a ghost box that someone is holding in their hand down in the tunnel. What's so unusual is that these ghost boxes, which listen in on radio frequencies at very high rates of speed, usually can't be heard down in these tunnels. But these voices are quite clear and distinct.
Can you tell us what Ken's last name is?
I did too.
Do you smell that?
Yes, I picked up strong perfume.
How far down can you smell that smell?
Can you guys smell perfume? I mean, it hit me really sudden. Right?
Can any of you smell down at the front of the tunnel the smell?
I'll just keep walking. That was me.
I don't smell it anymore.
Still smell it?
No?
No, it stopped.
Yeah, it disappeared.
Yeah, it stopped
I smelled
here.
it briefly down there.
All of the next group of clips are from an experiment we were conducting, an EVP session in a cell room next to the basement kitchen area. I conducted my typical ghost box session where I had 2 objects inside boxes. One was a pack of cigarettes inside one box, and the other had a Morgan silver dollar in the other. I was trying to get the ghosts to tell me what the contents of the box were. None of the ghosts in this experiment told me what the contents of the boxes were. They did make comments that they either didn't know or there was a small object in the box, but it was either that they were unwilling or unable to tell me what the contents of these boxes were. They did interact with us on a few questions, but you'll notice that the dominance of these questions are these ghosts talking amongst themselves. They kept repeatedly saying, "Let's get to her." And they also mentioned they found her floating up, referring to possibly a drowning victim at some point in time. Another bizarre thing is they're also mentioning several doctors by name. Another relatively new experiment that I've been recently starting is playing MP3 sounds of water running through a speaker and using this as background sound to hear the EVP voices. Again, this was extremely successful, and numerous voices will be heard with the sound of the water running in the background. For some reason, this either enables their voices to be heard more clearly, or they draw strength from it somehow to generate these voices so that they can be heard.
Whoever's in this room,
Okay.
I've got the sound of running water as a background sound. That's to help us hear your voices more clearly. Did you see that?
Yes.
That may be a confirmation that it hears and understands. Just
Can you-
yes. Can you give a description of what is inside this box? It's the object I'm holding in the box in my hand right now. Can you tell me the contents of this box?
So are these known objects that you...
Okay, look at that.
That's interesting. Are those known objects that he's holding? Light that up again. Do you know what those objects are? That's interesting. That's temperature, pressure, cold, hot, That's cool. That's cool.
Thank you.
But even later in the investigation, when I opened these boxes up and held the objects up in the air for them to see and asked them what these objects were, they still refused to tell me what these objects were that I was holding in my hand.
I know it's dark, but can you see this object? Can you tell me what this is? You've probably handled objects like this before. Okay, I'm going to turn the light on, and I'll shine the light on it so that you can see it. Can you tell me what this is? What is this object? I'm opening up the trigger object box, and I'm going to hold it up, and can you tell me what it is? Did you work here during the early Pythian days? Who was the sitting president at the time you were around? During one investigation, gunshots were heard 4 times. Who was responsible for those 4 gunshot sounds?
If you're interested, just do one of his events.
Yeah, I think he's got another event. Did you hear that sound in that corner?
I did.
During this investigation, one group of women took this outstanding photo. It was taken from outside looking up at the castle. In this zoom of the photo, you can see when it's enhanced that there are 2 faces in the windows on the 2nd floor above the entry looking down at the people who are taking the photo. What's also highly odd about this photo is that their bodies, the torsos, are not visible. You can't see them in the panes below the faces. During this investigation, we also had a ghost hunter from another group in attendance. This is Mr. Irwin. He sent us in the following clips.
Box C. Inside box C. I'm opening up the trigger object box, and I'll hold it up, and can you tell me what it is?
I'd like to thank Mr. Irwin and the young group of women who sent in the photo of the faces.